Hi everyone, my name is Anita Sharma and I welcome you all on Import Hub Media. As scholars, we have always visited here, scholar.google.com, and we have always experienced this statement which says, stand on the shoulders of giants. But have you ever wondered who these people are, what exactly they do to create this knowledge, and how much time, energy, efforts, and other things they put in so that their shoulders can become strong and rest of the world can stand on them? So, one key common attribute after doing a lot of videos and interactions with these superstars and these scholars is that these people are the people who have guts to think tangential and work on the edges. Yes, you heard me right. They work on the edges. Today's interaction is with one such person who challenged the conventional way, created her own space, and now contributing in the research domain, not just by testing the existing theories and but also creating it. I'm talking about Dr. Shefali Gupta, who is an academician, professor, associate editor, and a hardcore researcher. She is currently associated with MICA Ahmedabad. The results of her indomitable quest to create knowledge are reflected through these awards. She received the first prize and bagged the B.K. Birla Distinguished Research Scholar Award for Social Science and Management in 2019. Her paper, Customer Engagement in Service, published in the Journal of the Academy of Marketing Science, was nominated for the Sheth Foundation Best Paper Award again in 2019. She has published her research in top-tier marketing journals, which includes AMA journals, FT50, A-Star, and A-listed journals. And the list is endless, seriously. She had been a research fellow at Georgia State University and obtained her PhD from IIT Bombay. Her sole motive in life is to create knowledge and spread the wings of knowledge to ameliorate, to steer, to motivate, and to contribute to the existing knowledge and generate a new one in the space of marketing. Let's hear her out. When I was doing your profiling, it was really difficult for me to identify that this person is so much to begin and who you are, what you do, and please tell me your journey. And from a researcher to a star researcher, we need to know that journey.
Wow. I think you are making my day here, Anita. Thank you so much, Anita, for providing this opportunity that I can speak to you, and through you, I can share my journey. My couple of last years, how did I, plan? Actually, just happened. So it was going with the flow, but again, at the same time, decisions were little informed. Starting with when I finished my post graduation, I'll start from there because and why I want to go back so much and start talking about it. I never wanted to be a teacher, and I never wanted to be a researcher for that matter. So that was not on the cards at all, and so I won't say it just happened. So when I finished my post-graduation, of course, the idea was that I announced to the house that, okay, studies are over and now I am entering into the corporate world. And that is how I actually visualize myself always to be a corporate person. And of course that happened. I worked in the industry for a couple of years. And while working in the industry, and most of my profile was closer to the customer. I took various profiles as a customer relationship officer to customer relationship manager to handling the HNI customers to dealing with the issues which were coming at the not with always with HNI customer, but also like dealing with the consumers issues very closely, and then communicating all of that to the managers out there who were doing the sales, who were actually looking into their profiles, because for some time I also served in the ICICI Home Loans department too. So of course I was the link between the management or the bank and the consumer. And so there were times when I realized that there is a lot, and there are a lot of questions which are unanswered, and I wanted to get answers to those questions. And in that quest, I also started taking a couple of training sessions to the salespeople. And then, of course, I was in touch with my teachers as well as a couple of my friends who were in academia. And I realized, like, after every day when I was going back to home, I always felt that there is something more which I want to put, in me, like, as in terms of maybe reading, in terms of doing something else. And then the quest of knowledge took me to the academia, the world of academia. So that is how I left the industry and entered into academia. And I believe that was not the that time, I did not think of getting into research big time. It was more in terms of teaching, and hence I took up all the academia more as a teacher, not as a researcher. And when after passing 2 to 3 years, or maybe 3 to 4 years, just purely as a teacher, not as a researcher, I realized that there is something more which I need to take to my classroom. And hence this again, the quest to learn more and to have your own research around the questions which were actually popping out of my students' mind, as well as while preparing the lecture, I wanted to know a few more answers to a couple of issues which were on the surface. And that was the time when I realized that research is required and I should now get into my research journey. And that was the first step I took, that I entered in PhD program. So I actually started teaching before I entered in my PhD program, because I was from industry. So I thought, it is okay to have. And that time, I think PhD was not really must in India to take up a job as a lecturer somewhere. When I entered in my PhD program, and of course, after that, there was no looking back, because I thoroughly enjoyed my PhD program, and everything which I wanted to do, I could do that. And I believe the PhD program actually allowed me to think and contemplate that what exactly I want to do in my life. That is where everything related to research started. It's been more than 1.5 decade now that I am in academia. Every day is a fresh day. Every day I feel that I have just started. I never felt as if I am getting old in the domain, but I feel I'm getting younger every time, interacting with students and getting an opportunity to work on exciting projects related to research. So it's a beautiful journey.
Wow. So I can totally understand how that journey has been and how you have grown from a researcher to a star researcher. Because there are only hardly a few people who shine a lot and working with co-authors, with your professors, and then finally writing a single author FP50. So how does it feel? So that feeling I want to know, how that journey has been writing.
You have been calling me as a star researcher, but I don't know. I have not really reached to that level as of now, because I feel that I have just started. So it is your humility that you call me that way. But yes, it is, as I told you, it is really exciting to work with people who are passionate towards their work. So it doesn't matter whether it is research or teaching or it is anything, right? But if you're doing your work with passion, that only leads you to success, I believe. And it is good to be with those people and with those kind of co-authors. The energy is inflicted, right? So if sometimes you radiate that energy and you motivate your co-authors or your team, and at the same time, when you don't feel like motivated sometimes, so your team does it. So it is good to have a good team. It is good to have good set of co-authors who are high on integrity and ethics, and who are actually passionate to contribute to the domain. Because I always say that, in fact, I have put this line as my vision, or kind of the punchline for myself, that I wanted to generate knowledge and spread the wings of knowledge in my domain. Because when I started as a teacher, I felt that what I was doing is I was actually taking the reference of the existing knowledge which we had, right? We're going to the libraries, you are going online, you are taking, the notes, you are seeing that what people have done, and then of course with your own thinking adding into that, and you go in the classroom and teach, right? So I feel that as an academician, it is my responsibility that I have to put in few drops in that ocean of domain where I work, so that after me, people should not feel that the ocean is getting dried up. So that is where the intention was.
So there is a concept, a Japanese concept, the purpose of being, ikigai. So your
Yes.
ikigai is to create that knowledge and to disseminate that knowledge. And I understand, and I'm glad that there are hardly any few people who know that why they are for what they do, and they know the purpose of it. It's very interesting combination to know how, why, when, what. A person knows everything clear, and I think you are one of them. So, okay, tell me more about your research domain, your forte.
So again, as I told you that I started my professional journey as a working in corporate. So everything to do closer to the customers, related to them, was always the area of interest. In fact, while teaching also. So my statement of purpose when I submitted to IIT Bombay was related to customer experience management or customer experience marketing. And I won't shy of saying that I was completely naive on the research thing, right? So I was completely starting from the scratch when I entered in my PhD program. It actually provided me the platform where I could do a lot of experiments, right? I could think differently in terms of that what all areas I would like to really work on. And I was not really stuck with publications that time. I was not thinking about the journals. I was not thinking about anything. It was just that, I want to do research, and okay, after a few years, I'll get my PhD, and all that stuff was the thing, right, in the mind. That gave me a lot of strength to think tangential, right? So, though I submitted my SOP on experience management, but I ended up doing my PhD in convenience, like retail service convenience. And again, that time was the time when I was being questioned so much, so that whether this convenience thing will make any difference, because I was not getting enough literature on convenience. I was not able to back up my arguments with a lot of existing research. So it was like working on the edges. And that time I was kind of not very sure, but then I said, okay, let's take the challenge. And I believe that step to take to take that challenge, that yes, I can work on the edges, provided me an opportunity to come up with various methodologies where I can back up my research, not just by the literature, but other things, right? So that gave me that confidence. And I believe that just, the journey continues, because now I'm picking up, different topics which people really question, that don't you think it would be a little risky at this point in time in your career to get into all these kind of research, because they are probably not right on the money, right? So they will say that, okay, work in the mainstream market. Why there is a need to work on something related to, say, grassroots innovation? During my PhD, a couple of areas which I explored, one like convenience, another thing, strategy related to emerging markets, and also related to engagement. Now, for recent years, I have also started working in the area of innovation. So when I say in the area of innovation, it is mostly the innovations which are coming from emerging markets.
Mm-hmm.
So I started, my first project was the grassroots innovation. Again, the motivation came that time I was with MDI Gurgaon, and I remember I was in the library, and I was just asking again, using the ikigai concept, Japanese concept of that. So I was like, okay, you are doing research for all, like, you're giving strategies to multinational companies, and this is what we feel that, right, when it is getting published in journals, that people will read it, they will think of our frameworks. But what about people at your own home ground, right? So that was the idea, and that idea took me to the grassroots innovation, where I could read the work of few legends in the area, and I could see that they have the beautiful products with them, but they don't know how to market it. So the intention was, can as I as a marketer help them to market their products? Can we make something like that? So that took me to my first study in this area, which was assessing the feasibility and value of grassroots innovation. And after that, I took up another project, which was like how the new age technologies actually can or through new age technologies we can actually leverage the benefits and the value of social innovation. Other was on reverse innovation, which is again innovations coming from emerging market and getting placed in the developed market, right? So it means that we have so much in our, here in our plate, like as an emerging markets. It's just that we have to open our eyes and see that how these innovations have so much potential that they can actually contribute just within the context, but outside the context too. So that is another area which is slowly, I am trying to develop, which is of course closer to frugal innovation, we call it. It's social innovation, and now this grassroots innovation. So yeah, I think some baby steps we are taking on that.
Okay, so tell me more about this FT50 paper. It's single authored, so this gives a good feeling, and I'm sure this is one of the biggest achievement in a researcher's life.
Thank you so much, Anita, for asking this question, because one, for the FT50, and you're saying that it is, yes, great, deal to get it published in a good journal as a single author. So of course it really felt nice, and I was of course thrilled to have this piece where you have to come up with a conviction that whatever you have picked up is a good topic and it has a potential. Because that time, of course, I didn't plan it to submit to an FT50, but yes, because there was a special issue around emerging market innovations, so that gave me a hope, maybe may create some interest to the readers. But yes, as a single author, it is a tough challenge, because you have to be internally so motivated that you are not dropping your ball down, and then you are just keep on working on it, irrespective of what reviewers are saying, irrespective of what people are saying, because you get mixed comments, right? Oh, it's a great topic to work on. Why do we need this kind of research, right? Who really values it? So it was a challenging job, but certainly, with the people around, with the right mentorship, with the right people you have around your ecosystem, makes it easier. So that is what my experience about that, and I really feel proud on my this book, because it again gave me confidence that you can think and work on the edges. Then only you can think tangential, and you can contribute to the domain.
So, okay, a lot of serious stuff. Let's go and do some rapid fire.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay.
So, here goes my first question to you. What's the first thing you do when you experience a paper acceptance?
It brings a big smile on my face. So, of course, along with that, first thing, I think I always thank God that the grace was there. Hence, we could write something and we could do something. Then second, of course, I immediately write to all my co-authors, big congratulations. And then, of course, I share the news with those people who had seen the journey along with me, right? Those who have seen all the grumpy faces of mine, and have compromised with my, night long work and frustration sometimes, and supported me with providing me time at home. So of course sharing it with my spouse, with my son who is now 9 years old, and he is one person who feels extremely ecstatic like when I share that my paper is being published. So he has grown up seeing me doing research, so he knows most of the terminologies. He knows the journals, few of the names are also aware to, he's aware of, and the editors and the reviewer comments, and reviewer 1, 2, 3, he also understand that.
Okay, next question. 3 things about you which your students certainly don't know about you.
Oh, there are a lot of things that they don't know about me. Like
Yes,
they
tell
don't
me.
know that I can be fun loving like them. They don't know, they don't know that I too like memes like them. They of course don't know that I can dance with them. So
So you
they
never
don't
dance
know.
with them. So
Sometimes the
I
photo.
think all the students must listen to this and let your teacher dance with you. So if you were not a researcher, what would you be?
From where did you get this question? Hmm. Anita, I've always wanted to be a pilot,
Uh-huh.
and I would say that it is what if I would not have been an academia or a teacher or a researcher, I would have been a pilot. I actually tried for that.
Uh-huh.
I went to Indian Air Force Academy. I gave my SSB entrance examination. I cleared all the stages, but I could not clear PABT test, which is Pilot Aptitude Battery Test, and that is once in a lifetime. So, but that is still there. If I would not have been a researcher, I still want to be a pilot
Oh,
and
wow.
fly my.
You're already flying in a different plane, in a different
Bell
zone.
icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.